Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel for the second part of the Through the Rules of Valor and Fortitude. I deployed the two brigade, one of British in line ready to receive the attacking French, and one French brigade ready to move out. And this is only for the sake of showing you the various activation in this second part video. In the first one we talk about fate phase and shooting phase and order phase. Now we proceed to the activation, which are a move, a retreat, an assault, a double or a rally, and then how the melee works. Forgive for my voice, but I'm recovering from a bad cold, so it is a bit weird, but I'm still here and I'm okay. So let's begin. Okay, in the first video we're talking about that a unit that is not activated to shoot can take an action. Okay, so supposing that this brigade is in its first round of the game and now have to move because nothing is in range and artillery is limbered to their transport, so no one shoot. Okay, before talking about move, let me say that this is a double table. Okay, as you can see, it's a very big one, and after a few games I feel the necessity to use such a big table due to the movement of the units. If you play on a smaller one, a regular Warhammer 40k table, just to intend, or a regular table for many games, I suggest you to downgrade the movement of the unit, because in other cases you will be very close to the enemy in just a single move, and maybe then once you cannot even take a double activation. Or if you are the first player, you take a double activation and your opponent it cannot practically maneuver in any way with a double move. And this is the first thing that I want to talk about. Double. Before the regular move, I want to tell you about double move. So if you want to move quick across such a big table, or in particular scenario, or simply need to move quickly your units across the table, this activation called the double allow you to move your unit as per name double distance of the regular normal move, but you must end your movement outside 18 inches from your opponents, from any enemy units. Okay, a regular move follow the normal rule. What intervene in your movement? The terrain, essentially, and the closeness with the enemy. You have to discuss with your friend what kind of terrain you use and which effect have on your movement. Woods can be defendable terrain, and so all the perimeter of the woods is a single element of terrain, so unit cannot cross it, can enter it, and with another movement can go outside. Or dispersed wood, difficult terrain, half the movement distance of the unit inside, if not in open order or skirmisher. There is no specific rule for fields, so you can decide with your friend if they take out some movement from your unit or not. A planned field can easily reduce your movement. Maybe another one, a plain one, do not. You can take this as just for your good looking terrain, or you can decide with your friend that fields are open ground, which is not for the case for barricades, fences, small wall, etc., which are essentially all called barricades and halve the movement of a unit which cross it during the movement. Buildings are defensible terrain and can be occupied by troops, and again I suggest to talk with your friend, because this small hut here obviously cannot guest an entire battalion, but maybe can guest a single unit of detachment, a company of voltigeurs or anything you want, but nothing prevent you to occupy it with an entire battalion if you agree this with your friend. For this showing you, I use the large wood as defendable terrain and the small one down there as a dispersed one, and you can see the 95th rifle is deployed inside this wood. Okay, so coming back to the first activation, the double. Assuming that the French are the first to move, they can declare an activation. The brigade is activated and you can now move all your troop. Which mean at the double. Usually a column of attack or a column of march move 12 inches. So if I decided to simply move, I can again go with here. Easily to comprehend, at the double they will run across the table down to here. Okay, so it's easy to say that at the first turn, if you need to be quick, if you are in attack, or if you need to reach quickly a place, a double activation is a good way to achieve this. What is happened here? The voltigeurs moving at the double occupy the woods, so they are inside this terrain and can take line of sight everywhere from every point of the terrain. We will be back with this kind of terrain later in the melee. I moved all the battalion forward 24 inches. The artillery, which is a field artillery, has a movement of 6, so at the double is just 12 inches. Not the best idea to let your artillery back, okay, but it's just for showing you what does it mean, that they are very close to the breach but still 18 inches far from the breach. So now, assuming that our double movement bring closer to the enemy, what happened? What happened is pretty simple. When you move at the double, you must stop 18 inches from your enemy. It's simple, but is useful to repeat. Okay, so this is essentially what you can do when you take the double. You have not possibility to shoot, you cannot charge, just move quickly around the table. Now I'm back to the regular movement with some precision and exception. So I'm back to the simple move activation. Again, assuming that you are ready to start your move within 18 inches from your enemy, or simply do not want to move at the double at all. Okay, so some tips. First of all, remember that when you activate your brigade successfully, every unit within 12 inches from your brigade commander can activate easily. If, for example, you have a unit outside 18 inches, 12 inches, sorry, it must take a test for a messenger to activate. So I passed my test with it on a 2+ for the brigade. Okay, all of them can activate. My voltigeur here have to take a test, and this is a test on a 4+. If they are light infantry, as they are, or light cavalry in open order, or a light infantry in open order, you have a +2 to this test, so that means that they activate on a 2+. It's not automatic, but it's easy to pass. But for example, if you have not this kind of detachment, but assuming that you have an artillery, it activate only on a 4+, and this is not the best case because it's a 50% that you can activate it, and maybe you want it to move. So when you deploy and when you start your move, plan in anticipation where you want to go and where you what's your path across the table, because it's good to stay within 12 inches from your commander until you plan to deploy maybe an artillery or some line and do not want to move anymore or for a long time and your commander is needed elsewhere. Okay, keep this in mind. Then another thing for the activation. Think careful what you want to do, because a line followed by two column of attack have different movement speed. A line move only 8 inches, so it can move, for example, here, but this will slow your column that can move 12 inches, so they will bypass. You can interpenetrate unit from the same brigade, but cannot end over the top, so this will slow your column of attack. Okay, so again, during deployment and during movement, always keep in mind your plan. Stay to your plan until situation force you to change this. Do you plan to move and then start to fire? This is a good situation. Or keep the column of attack on the flank of the line, so you can bypass if needed without a penalty. Or your entire quick army will be slowed down, but a bad deployed or bad moved unit. Then again on the move, remember you can interpenetrate, and this will back I will back on this later because it's important. You cannot end on it. You cannot move more than the total distance in any direction. I can go here without converting your unit to such other game in something like I need to roll in this way and then move and then no, simply put your unit here. What you cannot do is, for example, move further than their total distance. So you can go easily here, simply move your column of attack here, and you are still within 12 inches. Another important thing to do is that you can reform, so change your unit disposition before or later during the movement. So at the beginning or at the end of the movement, the formation can change, can swap their position. You cannot reform before a charge. So if you want to charge with a line, you cannot form a column and then charge. You have to charge in line. How does it work? You can take one, the rules say model, but you have multi-based, take one of this and it stay where it is, and then the rest of your units will reform around him. I can move here just for simplify it, stay in the middle. Okay, important is that you, when you reform, you cannot gain inches over your complete distance. So again, if I'm moving and want to change distance, they can move 12 inches. Okay, they can go here in this way, and I cannot reform in this way because the last model is far than 12 inches. If I want to stay reform and stay in 12 inches, I must stay here. It's easily to say. Okay, same movement, reform and stay into their maximum movement distance. it's easy to remember, and after a few games you will never make mistake. Anyway, I think that no one is here to gain more inches than their movement just for the sake of gaining a minor advantage against your opponent. We are not here for tournament, we are here for fun. So I remember you this just for the strict of the game. Few things again before moving to another activation. On the road, your double the inches that you move. So if this move 1 inch on open field, it move 2 inches on the road. So essentially it can move 24 inches on the road, and this is not a double. If you take a double on the road, you move 48 inches, okay? Always remaining 18 inches from your enemy. You can move essentially at the double on the road without any limitation in your movement due to the enemy presence. Artillery during the movement, its unlimbering action is a part of the movement. It can unlimber at the end of the move. It cannot obviously shoot and move unless it is a horse artillery or artillery can do it, but this part is treated into the army sheet rules. Is I may say an universal rule for the horse artillery, but is not specific for the rule. This is essentially the movement phase. Now moving to another activation, which is retreat, which is a real important thing. Speaking about retreat, I recognize that I forgot one important thing about the movement. Any movement you take, you can never enter within 3 inches from your enemy unless you are charging it. Okay, retreat is a movement that can start within 3 inches from an enemy, and it is a very useful activation in some moment of the game, and this is one of this moment. It's an example. You have a column of attack which was battered badly by the British line. It take 4 casualty, it is weathered, it pass its Valour test, it is still in combat. Now is easy to recognize that stay in combat mean that they will lose the next melee and probably will be routed. So if it is your turn, you can declare that this unit take a retreat. A retreat is a single movement, so the unit is moving back up to its full movement speed away from melee. And this is a clear picture of what I've done. I cleared the space for this unit to charge freshly into the breeds, okay, but I save my unit for being routed for sure, because they just take this activation and are still weathered, and that's okay. But maybe the next turn they can try to rally, and rally is another activation that I will cover in a moment. Why I say keep in mind that this is a movement. It follows all the rule for the movement, so it can interpenetrate its friendly partner unit from the brigade to complete its movement. When you move, keep in mind what are you doing and what is the thing that may happen. Left the space for a retreat. Don't crowd the back of your unit with unit for other brigade, because if, for example, this battalion here is not a partner brigade, this unit cannot interpenetrate, so it cannot retreat. Another thing to keep in mind, if you can retreat if you have space to put your retreating unit. If you have not, you cannot make a retreat, okay? You can move sideways if you have space, okay? But you cannot interpenetrate model from other brigades, so do not overcrowded the situation with many brigades in the same place. And keep in mind that if you are forced to retreat for any reason and you cannot retreat, you are destroyed, okay? Keep this in mind. Another important thing to do is that if you retreat with the frontal arc of your unit in front of this unit, you must end the movement with the front arc in the front arc of the other unit. You cannot, for example, turn your unit or move sideways facing another direction with a retreat unit. It's not possible. Now, another important activation that you can take and that you have to master correctly, because it's really important, the ability to manage your unit and your battered unit if you have time to do it, okay? And this activation is a rally one. Rally allow you to remove one of your casualty marker from your unit. How can you have to declare that this unit is rallying, okay? And it's a roll on a 4+ on a dice. But you have a -1 if you are within 12 inches from an enemy unit. So in this case, this unit will rally on a 5+. It do not. If the breeds are not in the equation, so they are not here, on a 4+, you remove one casualty. But remember that when you remove one casualty and your unit is wavered, it is no more wavered, okay? And this is very important. Depending on the mission, depending on the scenario, depending on the dice roll during the game, but sometimes recover some rally unit allow you to put them back into fight later on. Sometimes you have to push onto the objective and your unit were beaten and you need to save them from being routed, so rally and understand when it's time to rally, when it's time to get out, maybe with a retire, and then rest your unit is fundamental in some games of Valor&Fortitude, as for any other Napoleonic game that maybe you already know. And do not underestimate the rally option. You can rally if you are in melee, because the fighting phase, the melee, is another phase of the game after the activation. So, for example, let me put back some English here, okay? It's the French time, this unit is stuck in melee, it can try to rally around their banner, the officer, push the morale on, so you can roll. It is a roll on a 5, it's not easy, but you can still, and assuming that with the 2 they do not rally, but let me joke, they make a 6, they have 3 casualty, they take 1 away, and the next melee phase start with 2 casualty rather than 3, or 3 and rather than 4 and being wavered. And this could make the difference between being wiped out and routed and survive another game, or maybe won the next melee phase. Okay, keep this in mind. And not only for the survivability, but a wavered unit, a shaken unit, it with a +1, so not only is it difficult to survive, but it's difficult just to have a chance to win the game. A wavered unit which not rally is probably a broken one, as you have just seen in some of the bat rap. Okay, now moving to the last kind of activation that you can take. The last phase of the activation that we are talking now is the charge. And again, assuming that the French has arrived in charge distance, when they successfully activate the brigade, they can declare a charge activation. Units 1 for 1 can take a charge activation. There is a important thing to keep in mind, that it's similar to the fire. Okay, you have to charge the closest brigade free from combat, not already engaged. So you cannot push 3 units into single line to break it for sure, but you have to charge another unit if you can reach it with your charge. It is not a trick, but you can still multi-charge, but only if no other unit are into reach of your unit and not already engaged. So in this situation, assuming that we want to declare a multi-charge, this column may charge here and here. This line may also charge here and there, and this column may charge here and here, or the woods within the 95th rifle. What we have to check: the distance. If they charge on a dispersive wood, they move only 6 inches rather than 12, and it is not the case. So they are out of the possibility of being charged. Again, I have to cross the wood to charge this artillery here. So if I am within 6 inches, and I must charge this unit or this unit here. But keep the thing simple. Remember this. Be careful on the which unit is activated first to charge. This column declare a charge. They can charge the line or the light infantry. They decided to charge the light infantry. I have, as a French, bonus for charging in column, so I want to charge with this one, and I charge the line with the column. Okay. Now I want to charge even with a line. May I do it? We will see in a sec. Do this unit have line of sight with the artillery? Yes, because you can see they saw the artillery, but they cannot charge because it's just 8 inches away, and this means that I cannot reach and stay in place. Can I charge the line? Yes, in theory, but I have to stay. So let's double check. They cannot, because they can fit into the ground. In this case, you may be flexible. Let me say that you can plan a multi-charge. You are not forced to stay exactly in the middle of the unit, so they can charge in this way, and then the line can charge here. Okay. Then, after you have moved all your eligible charge, you start to fight the melee, which is another activation. But before doing this, let me say another thing, just to be absolutely clear. I'm in the situation as before. This unit I've charged here, and the line, I declare that the line is the first one to activate, even if I charge in this way. Okay, even if I charge in this way, the column now cannot support charging here, but is forced to charge the artillery because is within the 6 inches. So even if with half of the speed, it can reach the artillery. So if I declare the charge, I must charge this unit here. Understand what I say? So if you plan to cunning multi-charge a unit, you have to maneuver in the right way, and for assuring that your unit can collaborate in breaking the enemy, and be sure to activate them in the right order. The last thing to do in the assault phase is, assuming that this is not a dispersed wood, as I said before, but a defendable terrain. In this case, when you want to charge, you just need to reach the border, the perimeter of the defendable terrain, and you are engaged with the unit inside. Okay, and that's it, essentially, the restriction. Remember, you can interpenetrate your unit when you declare a charge, but you need to see it and must reach it. So if you left your column maybe slightly back of your main line, they can see even in this way. Okay, even in this way you can interpenetrate your unit if you have a line of sight with the intended target in this way. I hope that is clear enough. If it's not, free to ask in the comment below, and I will reply if something is not completely clear. Moving to the last phase of the game, the melee. The melee is the last important phase, a part of Valor and Fortitude test that we'll cover after this. I've just covered in the battle rep, but I repeat gladly here. I retain the same situation, assuming that I've charged with a French, the British line. In this way, I just put this voltage unit here for the sake of the rule. Now the attacker decide which is the first melee that he wanted to play, and I decided that I want to push here in this way. I do not enter into the national rules, just the basic rule. The attacker has attack column and a line. French have a rule that I can allow to reroll the one if all the unit involved is in attack column. It is not the case, so as for the fire, I have to choose the best situation. 4 dice is generated by a column of attack, and 4 dice are generated by the line, plus 1 because in line, so 5 dice is the best situation. I take the 5 dice, and I have the support. In melee you have 2 kinds of support: the direct support of unit engaged with the fighting one, this is the case, or the brigade support. 1 or more unit of your brigade is within 3 inches from one of the fighting unit, it can give 1 dice of support. If you have 3 units, you still 1 dice, you have 1 dice. If you have more than unit, you have more dice, but it's hard to have more than 2 units engaged. Anyway, it is engaged in direct support, so I get 2 more dice for the French. The Brits are 4 dice, are in line, 4 dice, are in line, and are within 3 inches from a partner brigade unit, so 6 dice. So the Brits have the ability to reroll the 1 into the that miss into the fight phase. The French in this case has not. We play no card in this guy, so we roll just for the sake of fun. The French did poorly because hit twice. The Brits hit 4 times. And I have a reroll of 1, which is another hit. So the French line caused 2 hits, 2 casualty to the Brits, which I put the token, and take 5 in return. 5 mean 4 they become withered because they reach their tenacity, and then plus 1. So at the end of the melee I will have to take a test, but for the sake of simplicity, we just take it now. It is a test on a 4+. We have lots of modification. Sorry, I said an idiocy. It's not the case of the modification here. They have to take a Valour test at the end of the melee. I take now, just for the sake of simplicity, 1 test. 2 is a broken unit. This line of French is broken and they will be removed at the end of the melee. I will take out now just for the same simplicity as before. And as a happy French, with a happy French smile on my face, I move forward to the other melee. This is a light infantry in open order, again a column of attack. The French again have 4 dice. There is a unit within 3 inches and a brigade supports 5 dice. A light infantry, many light infantry have 1 less die in melee than it's late into the night. Usually a line brigade have 4 dice. They have light infantry, so they have just 3 dice, and they lose 1 because are in open order. 2 dice. Then I add the bonus that is a dice from the back battalion, so it's 5 French dice against 3 British dice. In this case, both the unit, British and French, reroll the 1 on the misses, and for the sake of fun, the French score very better. Wow, 4, 6 in a row. They want to take revenge for the partner line. The Brits just put 1 casualty on the French and take 4. What does it mean? That the Brits take 4 casualty and became withered because their tenacity is 4. And the French take just a single casualty and they still lock on. No more test here. And this is the clear situation, as I said before. This unit, because the next turn will be with the Brit, if the French are in attack, is in a good position to take a retreat and left the space for a counter-strike from this battalion of British here. In any case, they will fall back and try to save themselves from being routed in the next melee. That's it for the melee, essentially. Remember that if you have a cavalry fighting an infantry, with this magic here, the infantry is became a cavalry. In this case, they lose their melee. Against an infantry, they have not to test. Against a cavalry, they are automatically routed. When an infantry in open order or in line or in column, whatever you want that is not a square, is fighting a cavalry and lose the melee, they are automatically routed, so they are destroyed. Okay. Another situation. The French column charged the defendable terrain with the 95th inside. It's needed that charge any side of the woods, the 95th will fight on. Again, 4 dice for the French. They are light infantry, downgraded to a small 1, so they will fight with 3 dice. They are downgraded 2 dice. They are inside a terrain. They are in open order, but they are inside the terrain, so the open order is not taken into account. They are in defendable terrain. They get 1 dice back, okay? And for the sake of fun, we roll. In this case, the French cause 4 casualty and just 1 taken back. They are withered, but not forced to test. The last, if they pay for any reason, they are in a defendable terrain, they won the game. If the result was, for example, this one, let me roll the dice just to show you, okay, it's a draw result, the defender into the terrain won the battle, and when they defend the terrain, they lose 1 dice in shooting but gain 1 dice into melee. Another tips of the melee: in a very, very, very unlucky situation, or a lucky one, depend on the point of view, if this Brits fighting against the cavalry causing a casualty but taking no one, they won, the cavalry have to retreat. After a successful charge, they must, but lose a melee, they must retreat a full movement back. And this means that if they taken more than 1 casualty, maybe they are 4 casualty, so they are withered, they have to take the test, and if they do not rout, they have to move back. Okay, and this is the same if you fight cavalry against cavalry. Now the square, which is a very important formation for infantry against cavalry. When you see that the cavalry is coming, is a good way to go into square, because a very defensive formation against cavalry, even against other infantry, but against cavalry is a real lifesaver for your infantry. Why? Because if the cavalry want to charge, they declare a charge and move into contact, and that's okay. This is normal. At the beginning of the melee, the cavalry must roll a die. This die represents the ability to the square to defend or the cavalry to break in. If they roll 1, 2 or 3, the cavalry take a casualty and are forced back. The square resist and repel. On a 4, on a 5, the cavalry cannot break in but do not take casualty and simply fall back. On a 6+, they found a gap into the square and fight on. So, for example, okay, it's a 5, they are forced to move back and cannot fight. If for any reason the square is withered, the roll is a +2. So with a 4+, the cavalry essentially break in and fight against the square. Square move just 3 inches, can shoot all around but halving the number of firing dice, and add 1 dice to their melee. So it's a good defensive formation even against infantry, okay? But is a poor formation for moving around. If you are forced in many square by enemy cavalry, your plan to move is really compromised, and you have to cope with the enemy cavalry to take your movement back. One last thing, at the end of the melee, if you lose some battalion, you have to take for your officer a Valor test. In the example, I lost my line. The officer of the brigade need to take a Valor test. Valor test is passed on a 4+. You have to take 1 Valor test for every routed unit during the turn. Is a 4+. You have a +1 if you are within 12 inches from your overall commander, and if you have a +1 if you have more than 5 or more unit still of the same brigade still on the table. And you have a -1 if half or more of your battalion, the brigade, are just routed or destroyed. On a 4+, this is not the case. Your officer, your brigade take a defeat, which mean that at the end of the game, in many games, and if not all the game, defeat are added together to determine who is the winner. And for every defeat is a point that you give to your opponent. and when the entire brigade is wiped out, all the commander defeat +1 is transferred to your overall commander for the count at the end of the game. And with this, the Valour test is essentially the last thing to do on the table after the melee, if is the case. And with the Valour test, I ended through the rule, through the phase of the Valor&Fortitude. So I hope that this is helpful for the beginner and is a clarification if someone have any doubt for the most experienced player. If you like the video, please feel free to subscribe if you are not yet, and press the like button below. A bat rap will follow soon, but for now it's the end. Thank you for watching, and forgive if I made some mistake due to the late night time. Have a nice day, and bye bye, see you soon.